finally everything came together, and then we show up on the day of the table read at Universal Studios in Los Angeles, and what a trip! I mean, it was, and still this entire the entire filming for us, this 3-month process of being on set, has been our very own reunion. I mean, it's life imitating art, imitating life. And it's been such a trip and such a pleasure to be back with everybody. And you realize that some of these people, I mean, I haven't seen some of these people in years and years and years, and yet we get back on set and we haven't missed a beat. And I think part of that is the fact that we share this American Pie experience together, and because for all of us it was a very big experience, professionally and personally, for our lives, it's such a huge part of who we are, and we share that with each other. So it's a connection that we will always have, that we'll take to our graves. We learn early on that they're kind of going through a sort of rough patch, as I think a lot of newly married, new parent couples go through, and they're realizing that having a kid now affects kind of their whole sexual dynamic. And so we find when we meet Jim that once again he is, shocker, a bit sexually frustrated. And as you can imagine, a lot of comedy comes from that. We told the high school coming of age story, and then we told the college version and getting married and what that's like. It's such a huge chapter in someone's life. And now we're telling the story of 30-somethings who are realizing, looking back on their life and seeing where they are at present, and kind of wondering if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and if they're with the person they're supposed to be with, and just kind of taking inventory. And so that's what all these characters are doing. They're taking inventory of their lives up to this point, and seeing what the next step would be for them and should be for them. And so that's what this movie is. And of course, as you can imagine, there's plenty of comedy. Stifler's back, and and there's some shenanigans. There's some adventures. One of my favorite things about this movie is the Jim's dad and Jim dynamic, because there is, of course, still those moments of discomfort. There is all the same kind of comedy, but in a lot of ways the roles have been switched. Like I said, Jim is an adult now, and he's got a kid of his own, and spoiler alert, my mom, Jim's dad's wife, has passed away since the last movie, and it's actually a great sort of story point, because it allows Jim to sort of be there for his dad in the way that Jim's dad was always there for Jim in some of the previous films. And so there are these great moments where Jim is trying to give advice to Jim's dad, and the roles have sort of been switched. And we see Jim's dad in this movie do some things and go to some places that I think he hasn't gone before.